Hello, friends and enemies. Welcome to another long-delayed, long-awaited installment in the long-standing series, YusofPlays. Thanks for coming. We've got a lot to discuss. Of course, we're going to be discussing the normal games that I've picked up since my last video in January, many of which will not actually be shown because they're from limited run companies such as Limited Run Games, Special Reserve Games, and I've shipped them to my family's home in Dallas, or that they have not yet been ready to be shipped. They're still in production, but we've got a decent haul here. These past couple months sort of slowed down. I always say that, but really this time I mean it. Not a significant pile, not insignificant certainly. I can't say that I've saved my money prudently, but I think that this is a good little pile we've got here, and I'm excited to show everyone. And also later in the show, after we've discussed the games, Switch 2. We're going to discuss Switch 2, which, I'll get to that later, So first I'd like to just rattle off this ridiculously long list of games that I've ordered from Limited Run, Special Reserve Games, and VGP, which I don't have to show either because they're not, they're not ready and finished in the production line, or they've been shipped to Dallas. I've usually shipped my Limited Run games there because there's more space there, and also because I'm, if I'm really jonesing to play it, maybe I'll buy it digitally. And this list is not, I think a lot of great games here, but I have plenty to play here. So one game that I did ship, that I got off eBay, that I did not ship to my place in San Francisco, is Gradius 3 and 4 on PS2. So on PS2 they released a collection of Gradius 3 and 4, and those are, I think, the best Gradius games. I'm not the biggest shmup fan, nor that knowledgeable about shmups, but or side-scrolling shooters, whatever you call them, but Gradius, I believe, is up there, and later on in this list we'll see Gradius appear again. I purchased this before a recently announced Gradius game. So Gradius 3 and 4 on PS2, got the Mario Kart 8 Kart revision on Switch. Now this cost me a pretty penny because you can only purchase it on Video Games Plus Canada, and it includes on cart all the DLC bonus tracks and all the updates, so it's a complete on-cart Mario Kart 8. So I bought Mario Kart 8 obviously when I got my Switch, or when it came out, and now I bought Mario Kart 8 again. Probably won't open it, but Mario Kart 8 I think is probably one of my most played Switch games. My friend group and I in San Francisco would play Catan quite often, and at some point transitioned into Mario Kart at the behest of my friend Teray, and it's been fun, and I put it down on them. They would say otherwise, but I'm coming in first 85 to 90% of the time. And that 10% is collusion by them to stop me, though I'm sure they describe that situation differently. Also picked up for a nice $20 Space Warlord Organ Trading Simulator, and Return to Monkey Island, which I was happy to pick up because I thought it was out of print, but they had some copies available and on sale on VGP. Thought I missed out on it when it was put up on Limited Run, and then would see it on eBay for like $70 to $100. But really with Switch collecting, you just have to be patient. Things will pop up, and if they don't, that Limited Run copy is probably gonna come down in price on eBay, so just be patient. From Special Reserve Games, I believe, I received, or rather I ordered Nuclear Throne, as well as Cyber Shadow by the developers of Shovel Knight, I believe. So looking forward to those. I really love Nuclear Throne on PC, played it, a bit there. But I love isometric, I guess, shooters like Nuclear Throne, Enter the Gungeon. So I was super excited when Enter the Gungeon 2 was announced for Switch 2. But yeah, Nuclear Throne and Cyber Shadow. Bummed that one was announced after the other, because Nuclear Throne was not sold out when Cyber Shadow was announced. I would have liked to save on that expensive shipping from the UK. Okay, I'm gonna rattle off this list from Limited Run Games of games that I've ordered or pre-ordered since February. It is quite significant. I want to apologize to my family for just whittling away my, my funds on this. I wish I wasn't addicted, but here we are. Just kidding. Just kidding. It's not that much. Okay. Starting in February, early February. It may have actually even been earlier than that. I might be bugging, but this is good. This is good video making. Let's check. No, I'm sorry. This was since 2024 February. Okay, thank God. Because if it was since February of 2025, I'd be more embarrassed. I'm still embarrassed, but it's a little less embarrassing. So, starting in February of last year, these games haven't really been mentioned on this show because out of sight, out of mind. You know, they show up in Dallas. Some of them may have shown up on videos that YusofPlays that I make in Dallas. Others, maybe not, but we're gonna go through them. Limited run pickups since then. Rocket Knight Adventures. That's a compilation of both Rocket Knight games by Sega, re-released by Konami on Sega systems, I believe. El Shaddai Ascension to the Metatron. Oh, by the way, all of these games are on Switch. All of these pickups are on Switch unless I otherwise say that they're on PlayStation. So El Shaddai Ascension to the Metatron. Pentiment, really excited to play that one. Shout out to my friend Stuart. I got it on both Switch and PS5. Certain games that I'm like, ooh, I really, really want that. I'll get it on both. So Pentiment on Switch and PS5. Tomb Raider 1 through 3 remastered. Not jonesing to play that. It was also released at retail. The Lara Croft collection. I'm actually looking forward to playing those more than the Tomb Raider remasters because I like the isometric puzzle games. They're originally released on iOS, then put on Switch. Animal Well, got it on PlayStation 5 and Switch, and I bought it digitally because I was just so excited for it before even, it got all these rave reviews. I just knew it would be good because I just trust Donkey's taste, and it also just looked great. Clock Tower Rewind, very excited to play that one. I've always wanted to play Clock Tower. Glad it got remastered. Rogue Legacy 2, also very excited to play that one. These are just bangers after bangers in my opinion. Star Wars Dark Forces Remastered by Night Dive, got that on Switch and PS5. Beyond Good and Evil 20th Anniversary Remastered on Switch and PS5. Ninja 5.0, an absolutely classic Game Boy Advance game that I used to play occasionally on emulation. But if you wanted a complete copy or even a loose card of that game, it would be hundreds of dollars, like $800 fucking dollars, excuse my language, on Game Boy Advance. But now you can play it on your Switch, re-released, I believe it's Konami. Tomba, Special Edition, classic PS1 game. I believe I've played it before by Square Enix, but apparently this re-release isn't perfect, but looking forward to that. Humanity on PlayStation 5 by the creator of Tetris Effect, Rez, a couple other like rhythm, sort of like psychedelic adjacent games. I forget the creator's name, but he's a fantastic, he just makes incredible stuff. This in particular, I think, is something that it just keys in exactly on my interests and what I look for in a game, both aesthetically and mechanics wise. So excited to play that. Shadows of the Dam remastered on PS5, Suda51 game. SNK vs. Capcom SVC Chaos on Switch and PS4. Supposedly one of the lesser Capcom vs. SNKs or Capcom crossover games, but hey, why not? Hitman Blood Money Reprisal. Assault Suits Valken Declassified. Penny's Big Breakaway on Switch and PS5. Big recommendation by John Linneman. It also looks fantastic. I'm not a Sonic fan, but game recognized this game. It looks good, and it looks like it doesn't have all the same problems that Sonic has where you just run into a wall, but we won't get into that. Momodora Moonlit Farewell. I was a big fan of Deedlit and Wonder Labyrinth by the same developers. One of the only games I beat, I believe, in 2023. Beat it right before I beat Last of Us Remastered. So that was a good era of gaming for me. I was actually gaming. Front Mission 2 Remake. I did not get Front Mission 1 Remake Special Edition, which is available, but I do own Front Mission 1 on DS, one of my friend Thomas's favorite games. I bounced off of it very hard, though I love the sprite work and the music. For Mission 2 Remake, Cryptmaster on PS5, a very cool PC game that may not translate well to PS5, but I love me the physicals. It's mostly a mouse and keyboard like typing game, so we'll have to see. Salt and Sacrifice Dual Pack, another example of being patient. Salt and Sanctuary was an expensive Switch limited run release that was difficult to find, and now you can get both Salt and Sacrifice and Salt and Sanctuary in a dual pack for much, much cheaper. Gradius Origins. Konami is in their re-release bag, and they decided to release a bunch of Gradius games, I believe including the ones that I got on PS2. Doom plus Doom 2 on PS5. Picked that up as opposed to the Switch version A because I already in the past purchased Doom 1 and 2 separately on Switch from limited run, so I feel stupid. But also the PS5 version not only runs at 120 frames per second, but has access to mods that are not on the Nintendo version. The Nintendo version has mods, but not as big of a mods options or suite as the other versions of the game. So, you know, I'm a fake gamer because I've never actually played Doom. Sorry, I've played it, but not like really. Though I do love Doom 2016, one of my favorite games ever. Chicory, A Colorful Tale, delightful game. In Stars in Time, sort of Earthbound inspired, you know, RPG. Looked cool. And lastly, Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown on PS4. Not a big fighting game guy, but I love an ultimate version of anything. If you put ultimate in the title, I'm gonna be fooled and suckered. I'm like, that's it? This is the ultimate one, man. Like, they're not gonna release another one, right? And then they do, and you feel like an idiot. So that's the pickups from limited run since February of last year. Now we're gonna get into the stuff that I have here, and we're gonna start off with my Xbox pickups recently. We've got just one. This harkens back to, I was sort of nostalgic for a time when Rockstar made lots of games rather than one every decade. It was a better time in the gaming industry, I think, when budgets weren't enormous and games didn't require teams of thousands of people, and then, you know, go for animation priority and super realism and things like that. And, you know, it was simpler when you could pump out 3 Grand Theft Autos in one generation as opposed to 1 per 2 generations. So as much as I'm looking forward to Grand Theft Auto 6 to be my first real Grand Theft Auto that I actually play and don't just watch a cousin play or, you know, or a family member or something like that, I do miss the era when Rockstar was pumping out stuff like Rockstar Table Tennis. The Xbox 360 version is supposedly the best, so I picked it up for just a couple bucks. And yeah, I believe it's backwards compatible on Series X too, so, you know, if you ever want to play table tennis, let's hop on. If you hear my cat crying, I apologize. He's being a bum right now. He's begging. I just have to ignore him, and he did it at the least opportune time. My other guy right here, Pasha, he's sleeping in this little bed. I love you. Thank you for being a big fan and a big supporter of YusofPlays. I wish I could show you how handsome he is, but he's laying down right now. So next we've got the Switch pickups. You know, the Switch is in its final days, sort of releasing games, though I'm sure they'll milk it as much as they can. But, you know, get those physicals while you can, but maybe slow down because these games might get Switch 2 editions, and if they're not that nonsense game keycard crap, they might be more worth picking up on Switch, such as games like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild are supposedly, though we'll only know in June, being re-released on Switch as full updated Switch 2 card copies that will both run on Switch 2 and Switch 1. So you don't have to update and you got a complete physical game on card. A couple games here. Pepper Grinder, cute little puzzle platformer, and looks delightful. That's all I can say. Babe! Darwin, I'm making a video. He doesn't have any respect for YusofPlays. Tell him I'm recording. Jesus Christ. Sorry. Next game actually was a complete surprise. Amy pulled up on me a couple days ago and was like, I got you something. And I was like, what could that be? And she was like, I actually ordered this back in December and totally forgot about it. And then it released and showed up, and she got me Neva because she thought it looked cool. And she asked me about it, and I was like, oh, those are by the developers of Gris. Maybe it's pronounced Grease, though that would be unfortunate. Those developers of that game, which is really painterly and beautiful, and Neva is their newest release, and I think they just one-upped themselves, supposedly. So looking forward to playing that with her. Thank you to the producer. Next, I've been excited for this one. I'll pick it up at some point on PlayStation 5 as well, because just it runs much better and you can sort of appreciate the beauty of it more. But this is a throwback to the sort of RPGs of yore by one of the, if not the OG and the GOAT. That's the original creator of Final Fantasy, Hironobu Sakaguchi. And he decided to make a game that was unfortunately trapped on Apple Arcade before being ported to Switch and PlayStation, and I believe PC and Xbox. But we've got Fantasian Neo Dimension. So this has two really interesting things about it. The first being that it is sort of like in the art style is in miniature, so everything sort of looks like a sort of little toy set or a miniature set. Iranians know what that is more so than Americans. But also it has an interesting mechanic where you can gather enemies and do battle with them all at once, rather than just having repetitive random encounters, or encounters in a linear fashion. You can gather enemies all at once and then just attack them in one battle. So I think that's very interesting, and I'd like to see how that works out. It looks like a beautiful game. And I think still the people that did it best was Chrono Trigger with the active time battle system, and Earthbound with just like, if you're over leveled and you have 100% chance to kill an enemy, just you automatically defeat them with just a flash screen. So they still haven't done better than 1994, 30 years ago. So, Next one I had been waiting for a while. I was actually worried that it wouldn't ship because everybody got their limited run version before me. I got the special edition of Castlevania Dominus collection. Shout out to the Pope, rest in peace. So this is a collection of the Castlevania DS games. Fun story, many years ago, I want to say even in 2020, was just browsing on Facebook Marketplace, and then this guy was selling a bunch of DS games for like $100. So I drive to Allen as quickly as I can. I'm like, I'll buy these, and it had Electroplankton. It had the first two Castlevania DS games, Dawn of Sorrow and Portrait of Ruin. Unfortunately, not Order of Ecclesia, which I believe is the best one, and a bunch of other really great DS games. And I was like, "You're selling these?" And he's like, "Yeah." And I was like, "For this much?" And he was like, "Yeah. Do you want them or not?" I was like, "Yeah." And then I never played any of them. I let Demir borrow Electroplankton, and I think he enjoyed it. But we don't play games here. We just put them on the shelf. Anyways, next game, been waiting years. Be patient. That's the YusofPlays motto. Be patient. This game was another incredibly rare Switch game that nobody thought would get re-released. It was hundreds of dollars for any version of it on physically on eBay or on whatever Facebook page you use to get your games. But like a thief in the night, or should I say a ninja, a re-release came, upgraded on the cart with DLC, and that's The Messenger. Yes, this looks sick, and I will at some point play it if you like these sort of 16 to 32-bit goodness. This includes the Picnic Panic DLC. I've been to some picnics where I've panicked. Don't want to relive that, so I might not play it. Sorry, give me a second here. It's unprofessional. Do it live. Next, I gotta pick up in one of my favorite series ever. Many people might not know this about me, but I have a long history with the series, having been an enormous fan that played it with my friends all the times on the GameCube edition, originally released on Game Boy Advance and then ported to GameCube because it was so good. They were like, we want everyone to have it. So I spent many good hours playing this series on GameCube with my friends, particularly one game mode where you stack turtles on top of each other, and whoever wins the most, their turtles don't get knocked off. And then I also played a bunch of it on Wii, which I think is maybe my favorite one. I had lots and lots of good memories with the Wii version, played it to death, 100%ed it. Not sure that the recent releases have been as lauded or as maybe even as good, though I haven't really tried them. But we've got the new WarioWare game, WarioWare Move It. I'm just a big WarioWare fan, man. I love WarioWare. Twisted, WarioWare, I believe it was Shake It on the Wii, and Mega Micro Games on the GameCube. I love all three, so I'm willing to give this a chance, and I hope they just keep making WarioWares. I hope Switch 2 has one big, great WarioWare that they really invest time in. Next, super glad I got this, but super glad I didn't play it or open it because I'll be waiting to play it on Switch 2 where it is upgraded. It's got Zelda Echoes of Wisdom. Excited to play this with Amy. The great thing that people don't understand about DEI, if that's what you want to call it, I just call it, you know, I'm not gonna say anything. I just call it a good thing. I don't, you know, if you say DEI, people are like, oh my god, I'm a conservative psychopath. But the good thing about inclusion, I should say, and diversity is that it brings more people in. So while Amy is a Zelda fan, I think she's, I'm sorry. While the producer of the show is a Zelda fan, I think she's more excited by the idea of playing as Zelda because, you know, it's like, oh, there's a woman main character. That's cool. And I agree, that is cool. I've never played a Zelda game where you can play Zelda because they were only on the CDI. So that's exciting. And I also like that it has different mechanics, you know, rather than just like more basically switching Link with Zelda to just swing her sword. She has her own powers now. This is sort of a metaphor or an analogy, I don't know which one, for the fact that instead of just replacing well-known superheroes who are white and making them black or like color swapping or whatever, we need to have diverse stories built for people. Like, don't just make Superman Persian, make a Persian superhero. Really just stop making superhero movies. But my point is, like, you know, people want that, but really what's good is this, right? So we have Zelda has her own game, her own mechanics, not just a palette swap. We don't want palette swaps. We don't want race blindness. We want our own thing. I'm speaking for all oppressed people. So, Switch pickups there. Hopefully nobody who employs me sees this. I'm just joking around. I'm a good guy. One more Switch game, picked it up. Don't know if it's the latest cart version. May have even been opened, you know, but whatever. The box, the game itself, the plastic on the actual cart is not broken. But we've got Ring Fit Adventure on Switch. Not gonna work on Switch 2 supposedly. So keep your Switch 1 if you really want to play Ring Fit Adventure. This is cool. I think there should be more games that get people active. Like, I just think it's cool that, like, they got a little device that's like, hey, do you want to work out and game at the same time and like have a good time? It's like, yeah, I would love that. You can do it now with Ring Fit Adventure. That's a part of the market that's not served. So those are all the Switch pickups. Now we're gonna go through a couple of quick PlayStation pickups. So I was mentioning earlier that Doom 2016 is one of my favorite games ever. Like maybe top 15, top 10, I don't know. I'm not really in the mood to do a list. But I kind of bounced off of while playing a pirated PC copy of Doom Eternal. But I am happy to give it another chance because Doom the Dark Ages is coming out. What Microsoft didn't really anticipate with buying all these huge publishers and then just having their games come day one to Game Pass is that if you buy like a product, you'll just get like a free month of Game Pass with it. So Amy bought a laptop, the producer bought a laptop, a new laptop, and for work, and it came with a free month of Game Pass, so I'm just gonna use that and play Oblivion Remastered and Doom the Dark Ages, and then when they're on sale on PS5, I'm just gonna buy them there. Please release a physical copy of Oblivion Remastered. By the way, that's a future video that we're gonna be doing, which is games that need physical copies. Oblivion Remastered will be on that list. Gotta give Doom Eternal another chance. My problem with it was that the simplicity and beautiful sort of flow of Doom 2016 was ushered away in favor of a greater complexity, which I don't think added to that sort of I don't think it really added the depth that they were looking for, and it also took away from that just pure experience. Sometimes less is more. Doom 2016 was like a beautiful sculpture that had no extraneous pieces, whereas Doom Eternal was like a meal that had too many ingredients, and all of them were good and fresh, but they just didn't really sing. You also didn't have the opportunity, like I said, that you did in Doom 2016 to just be super in the zone. Like, the perfect moment of gaming is when you're ITZ and you can just, there's nothing else around you. You're completely ensconced in gamer vision, you know? So what can you do? Gran Turismo Sport, very cheap, and they did a beautiful thing for preservation and updated the game to be able to work offline. I hope they do that with Gran Turismo 7. So I'll have to, you know, race a bit. I'm actually not at all a racing guy, but you know, Gran Turismo is good if you like that sort of thing. Picked this up on the cheap as well. Already owned it on Switch, but it did get an update on the PlayStation 5. So I want to try to play around at 120 frames per second. So I wanted to try out Sayonara Wild Hearts. Super cool, super creative, super short, action rhythm game. Lovely art style. Yeah, just good stuff. Just good stuff. I hope Annapurna Interactive continues to publish interesting, good games, even though everybody who worked there walked out, and they work for Larry Ellison, who Google him and his crimes against humanity, among other billionaires. You know, I actually don't know him, so I assume he's a criminal because he's, you know, a billionaire, but at what level, I can't say. Keita Takahashi, guy who made Katamari Damacy. Gozaimasu. I'm a Japanese expert, and he also did Watam, which had cheap copies that were originally only on IM8, but I found a bunch on eBay and I picked it up. Been wanting this. I really actually forgot how you play it, so, but it looks cool. And look, yep. What do you say? Yay! Was excited for this game. I hear that it actually runs terribly on consoles, last gen consoles, and they did not update it for current gen consoles, which is a bummer. So I played on PC, honestly, but I love an Ultimate Edition, as I was saying earlier. And the sequel was coming out, which I hear runs really well on consoles, particularly on PlayStation 5 Pro, and is super immersive and great game, one maybe the best game of the year so far. So I had to pick up Kingdom Come Deliverance Royal Edition, which is another way to say Ultimate Edition. I've heard a lot of people talk about this and they're like, oh my god, like you just are like a peasant and you have to walk around and like do chores and stuff, and it's like a medieval peasantry simulator. Like, oh, you gotta, like, you know, you gotta fight battles sometimes, but a lot of it is like doing laundry on a washboard. And I'm like, that sounds incredible. That sounds like everything. That's like what video games are created for. So you can go into a historical simulation of what it was like to be poor 800, or not 800, like 600 years ago. So I'm definitely gonna have to tap into that. Bounced off this game super hard, but I'm a bounce off guy. Boing, 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 I'm bouncing. Bounced off this game. It came free on PlayStation Plus many years ago. Tried the opening intro and I thought the story was just nonsense. I mean, it was really poorly told. Looked good, so, but needed to pick up a physical because it was out of print and those prices are gonna rise. And also, I'm willing to give it another chance because the developer is one of the best out there. Control Ultimate Edition on PlayStation 5. Excited to not ever have to open this because I've got it on PS Plus, but also excited to give it another chance because I will say I do like some parts of it. The aesthetic, the designs of some of the weapons and the enemies and things like that I think is cool. Next game I've actually really been playing, not necessarily by choice, but my friends have been helping me through the story mode, and trying to get through it as quickly as possible. I've been fighting Doshagumas, I've been fighting Kleekors, I've been fighting Gobors, Kleeklocks, and Rathaloses and Aremaloses, and that's going to be Monster Hunter Wilds. I just encountered the White Wraith, which is that guy. He's the I don't know, I forget the term that Demir kept using, but he's like the cover monster, I guess, and that's the one that like, it's like sort of the main thrust of the story. It's good. It's good. It's more Monster Hunter. If you like Monster Hunter, you'll love this. But I'm a Monster Hunter fan, but I'm not a Monster Hunter sicko. I don't want it to be my forever game and just every day get on and hunt a different monster and like kill it and then be like, oh, that was so great. Like I just hunted the same monster for the 80th time and I just upgraded my armor of him and I'm skinning him alive. It doesn't get me off, you know, that's not my kink. So some people it is, and good for them. Next two games, one of the greatest games ever, in my opinion. And then another game which I haven't had a chance to play, but people say is not a good successor, but I sent off my versions to my friends that I was just mentioning on PS4 and picked up PlayStation 5 re-releases, which I think is wonderful. That's Resident Evil 2, the Resident Evil 3 remake. This is goated. And then this I haven't had a chance to play, though I will. Did not pick up Resident Evil 7 because the PlayStation 5 re-release, I believe, is not compatible with PSVR 1, which was a big feature of Resident Evil 7. I will pick it up, but I will keep my Resident Evil 7 PS4 copy. Whew. It's a gauntlet. Next game. Regretfully did not... I accidentally picked this game up, non-ESRB. I know it's not a big deal, but I like to stay consistent. You know, it's still fine, and I'm sure it'll be great. They didn't allow me to return it, and then on eBay they were like, hey, we closed out your return, but if you want to return it, we have a 20% restocking fee, plus you print your own return label, which would be like $8, $9. I'm like, okay, so you want to charge me the amount of that I bought the game to return it? Like, okay, I'm gonna report you, but I'm not, but I should have. Tetris Effect Connected by the same guy who made Humanity, as I was saying earlier. Apparently playing this with PSVR 2 is a semi-religious experience, so I look forward to that if I ever grab a PSVR 2. I've thought about it multiple times, but I haven't been brave enough to pull the trigger, or stupid enough. Or brave and stupid enough. So we're going to end things on a little bit of a dour note. I actually picked up a PS5 re-release of one of my least favorite games of all time. I think it's totally garbage, and I hate it, but I have a sickness, and so I did so. I'm willing to give it another chance, because I'm willing to give anyone or anything a second chance, unless you're like, you know, George Bush or, you know, some other war criminal. You know, you've lost second chance privileges, which is saying a lot, because I'm a really forgiving guy. But, you know, despised this game. It was painful to get through, though I did finish it. I hated every minute of it. I thought the story was one of the worst told in any medium. Just terrible exposition. It was gobbledygook. It made no sense. It's like it was written by a 12-year-old. The, you know, enemies and combat and stuff was bog standard Ubisoft slop. You know, nothing special. You know, when a game is like, oh, you have to like, there's like a level that you can go up to, and that's when you enjoy it. Like the skill ceiling, you have to go up to this part of the skill ceiling to really enjoy the combat. It's like, well, most people aren't going to do that, so you design the game for like 5% of people who are going to be accessing like all the gadgets and Wizmos. Like, no, that's, and also on a first playthrough, almost nobody's going to do that. So, you know, get out of here with that nonsense. Yeah, story was garbage, gameplay was garbage. Animation priority garbage. Everything about it sucked, but I still spent money on it. Again, it's going to be Horizon Zero Dawn remastered. Supposedly it looks really good. I would look forward to playing Horizon Forbidden West, I believe, because apparently they improved upon a lot of aspects of this one. It's a low bar, buddy. It's a low bar, folks. So if you improved on this, I mean, yeah, really the only place to go was up from this trash. So I hated it, but you know, whatever. So that's everything. That's all my pickups. We got the long list of limited run games. We got a good consortium of PlayStation and Switch pickups. And now for Switch 2, I did manage to pre-order a Switch 2, much to my chagrin. I was not excited to spend that much money, but I did. I didn't get any games for it. I didn't get a Pro Controller, though I'm sure I will pick up Mario Kart 8. I'm actually going to have to wait till August to even play it, because I'll be abroad when it releases. So just gonna come back to the Switch 2 at some point in August and enjoy it then when the dust has settled. But it's good to have secured one. To all those waiting, you know, it's not gonna lower in price. Even if you wait 2 years, you're not gonna get it on sale, and that includes Mario Kart or any other game. I mean, those things will not go on price. Maybe you could save $10 here. You know, a retailer has too much stock, and you know, Nintendo's definitely not going to lower it. But you know, you go to Best Buy and like, oh, $10 off Donkey Kong Bonanza, but that's at best. The Switch itself will not be reducing in price. So if that's what you're waiting for, good luck. I mean, if you want to just save money to get it, that's different. But just being like, oh, I'll wait till a sale. They're laughing at you. You're a victim. So speaking of victimhood and speaking of pain, that was sort of the major thrust of conversations around Switch 2. Sort of infamously, when the Switch 2 price and Nintendo Treehouse was discussing the price and various things like that, just all these comments were like, drop the price, drop the price. It's the meme of the Switch 2. And I understand the sentiment. Obviously, video games is a relatively expensive hobby, or can be. It can also be a completely free hobby. You can just get a PS5 from your friend and play Fortnite or other free-to-play games. But also, if you want to play the good stuff, you know, it can be expensive, especially if you're a physical collector. So I totally understand it. And yeah, games are expensive. It's a luxury. Shigeru Miyamoto once said, which I think is a very good attitude, is like, we have to figure out how to sell people stuff that they don't need. Like, nobody actually needs a video game, right? It's not food, water, electricity, housing. We exist in an entertainment medium in which we have to convince people to spend their leisure time with our products, and that's a difficult proposition. So it makes sense. People don't want to pay $700 or $600 for a Nintendo Switch 2 and a game at minimum, you know, or plus a controller is, yeah, you're going into the $700 range, which that's a lot of money in Trump's America. It's a lot of money at any time of, you know, anywhere and in any country, but particularly now when tariffs and economic uncertainty is high. People are losing their jobs left and right. If you're working for the federal government, you're a target, not a worker. If you are, you know, working in the public sphere and an NGO, anything like that, you know, times are dangerous for people and their jobs. The economy is deeply unstable, so it's understandable. But you know, in light of that pain that's spreading across not only the country but the world, Nintendo bowed their head solemnly and said, "You will pay, and we're not gonna. We can't shed a single tear for you. Nobody cries for nobody cries for the children whose parents can't afford a Switch 2 this year. You know, hey, their Switch 1 is still available. You know, so it's a tough time. I totally understand it, but also I do sort of agree with the sentiment that games are a consumer good that have sort of stayed steady in price. Now, does that mean that the prices necessarily need to rise? No, because game makers are also making record profits. Everybody's making record profits except workers. But games are more expensive to create. And hopefully, though this won't happen, increased game prices will lead to better salaries and working conditions, etc. for game creators. We know that won't happen, but in an ideal world, maybe they would. And maybe at Nintendo they actually would. So that would be good. But basically, you will pay for the Switch 2. Don't wait for a sale. I managed to nab one. They're actually relatively easy to get. My recommendation is to hop on Hotstock or an equivalent tracker like Trackalacker or InStock.net.com, whatever. Set your notifications on. Download the various retail apps, Best Buy, GameStop, Walmart, Target. Input your information, your shipping, your credit card, etc. And just when you get that notification, get in there and buy. You know, go as fast as you can, and you should be able to secure one. If not, there's a Nintendo store opening up down the street from my place on the 15th. So if you want me to camp out, call me. Regardless, that's, oh, I was about to end the episode because we're running really, really longer than I wanted to, but one moment rant. as a physical game collector, this game key card trash that Nintendo is pulling with basically every single physical third-party game outside of Cyberpunk 2077 and maybe one or two others in the West, but all of them are game key cards in Asia and Japan. This is trash. We don't want this. We don't want this, and the consumer won't want this. Like, you might think, oh, well, like, you're just like a super hardcore gamer collector, like, of course you want your games to be complete on cart, but most people don't care about that. Wrong. When a parent takes their child to Best Buy to pick up Shin Megami Tensei, when a 4-year-old is like, I'm excited to play the new Shin Megami Tensei game, and it's a game key card, and they're on their way home without an internet connection, put that game in their Switch 2 and try to play it, they're like, what the heck's going on? Then you got to get home, you got to wait 2 hours to download a 30 gigabyte game or whatever, depending on your internet. You got to wait, well, let's say an hour. It's like, the point of physical games is not just preservation, it's also convenience, immediacy, saving your internet, saving the environment by not downloading games all the time, not having to download and download games, all this storage management garbage. Like, there's so many benefits to physical games. And of course, the number one thing people say, and the misnomer or incorrect information that people have is, well, most games are not complete on disc or card anyway. When you get them, you can't play them, you have to patch. That's not true. It's not true. We always have to point to, does it play? Statistics. They ran the math. For all those math lovers out there, they ran the math. 75+% of physical games are playable off disc to completion and totally fine. Yes, there are beneficial patches. Yes, there are additions and DLCs and things of that nature that you can get with patches, but most games on launch day are polished and ready to play without a day one patch and without, whatever. So, and also, even if they weren't, publishers should be releasing reprinted versions with updated carts and discs. It's just good. It's just good. Everyone wins. There's really no reason not to do it other than the ultimate push by publishers and game developers and platform holders to push people towards all digital so that they don't have to give a cut to any retail store, and those can go out of business. And it's just another way to make money off you and refuse, and they can completely control the environment. So, hey, you're not getting that sale at Target. This is the only place to buy it, buddy. You buy it on PlayStation or you don't buy it at all. Regardless, you've heard this all before from me, but ultimately, this game keycard trash sucks, and I hope that future Switch releases, particularly third-party ones, will be printed on cart physically rather than being a game key card or even worse, code in a box. But time will tell. Time will tell, and I hope time tells good things. I wish you all the best in the world. Thanks for watching another long episode of YusofPlays. I swear I try to get it done as quick as possible, but I'm just not good at brevity. So I really tried. But thanks again. Hope everyone is well out there. And hi, Pasha. Hope to see you after the Switch 2 launches and we can talk more games. One final thing, according to the game, though I don't believe this is true, I'm like 135 hours into Dark Souls 2, and on the last boss, no DLC completed. I promise by next YusofPlays, I will have beaten it. I'm really enjoying it. I have a great time. I promise. Shrine of Amana was kicking my butt. And I'm level like 140 something, and Shrine of Amana was beating me, flagellating me. It was awful. So yeah, next time we talk, I will have beaten the last boss and hopefully all the DLC too. So be well. Talk to you next time.